Thank you. Good morning. I was there listening to the wonderful speakers. All the things they talk about reminds me in the past 18 years. 18 years ago, in my apartment, I told the 18 founders that one day we will build up a site. That site will be the top 10 sites of the world, and we will build up a company that can last 102 years. And people say, why 102 years? Because our company was born in 1999. Last year, we had 1 year. This century, we finished 100 years, and next century, we have a 1 year. 102 means cross 3 centuries. When every goal you give to your team should be very accurate. If you say, this company is going to last 100 years, so nobody take it seriously because every company say, we want to last 100 years. So the number you give the team should be very accurate. We took the video when I talked to the 18 founders. And today when I watch the video, a lot of people say, well, since we don't have anything to do, when you see 102 years, a big 10 sites, let's just do it. Very few people believe that we will make it happen because we don't have a high resumes, right? I graduated from Hangzhou Teachers College, and most of my colleagues at 18 founders, they were my students, my friends. None of them are very successful. Among the 18 people, there are only 3 people who know something about computer. The rest of 15 people know nothing about computer, nothing about the internet. We had no money. 18 people gathered $50,000, and we had no relationship. None of us from rich family or powerful family with a government office background. We don't have great talents. But I told the team that, guys, if we can be successful, 80% of the young people in the world can be successful. Because at that time, China had the internet was so backward. Nobody believed e-commerce in China. Nobody believed internet. People say China will not develop internet, and China will not have e-commerce because you don't have a credit card system, you don't have logistics, you don't have this, you don't have that. But I think someday China will have. If we start to do it now, if we prepare for 10, 15 years, the day that e-commerce in China will boom. So that was the thinking at the beginning. And 30 years ago, I was considered, in my early 30 years, I was considered to be a loser. I remember that, I applied university for 3 times, all failed. And after the first year when I finished university of high school, failed in examination for university, I went apply for a job in a police station. 5 classmates, we went there, 4 of them accepted, and I was rejected. And one of the 4 who were rejected, today he's my chief staff. He's been working in the police for 20 years. He's an excellent policeman, but when we talk about this, he always say, well, the day when we apply for being a policeman, you were rejected. They feel very proud, but they say, hey, Jack, you don't have a chance. And the second thing I remember very well, Hangzhou, the first 4-star hotel in my city was built. My cousin and I waited for 2 hours and a half in a very hot summer in order to apply a job being a hotel waiter. After interview, my score was much better than my cousin. After interview, my cousin was accepted, and I was rejected. Reason is he was taller and more handsome. 30 years later, today, he is still working in that hotel in a lingerie room, and I changed my life. And the other thing is that it's true. 24 of my friends, we went for applied job in a KFC. And 23 accepted. I was the only guy rejected. I don't know why, but they say, you don't have it. So I thought, maybe the God said, you should do things yourself. Because I get used to be rejected. Even to today, most of the times when we fail, when we did not achieve something, I say, well, get used to it. We are the people, have to learn. We get used to be rejected. We get used to the days nobody come to help us, support us. We should not get used to be successful. When we succeed on something, we always feel very proud and honored and thankful. Even in 1999, Joe and I, our CFO and vice chairman, and we took him to Silicon Valley and asked for venture capitalist support. We were rejected by more than 30 venture capitalists. People even did not want to listen to we talk. They say, hey, you 18 guys, none of you guys have a high resumes. None of you guys, Joe he graduated from Yale. But the other 18 guys, we don't have any background. And the story we're telling be the top 10 websites, want to make a company last 102 years, and we'll be doing e-commerce in China. People say, this guy is crazy. But we started with $50,000 US. And then, I think 2 years later, Harvard came. They want to write a case study. They spent 1 week, write a long case study and talk to me, say, Jack, this is your company. I read the case study, say, no, this is not my company. This is not what we want to do. He said, this is your company. You just did not realize that. So I say, okay, then this is my company. And the next 6 years, they put the case study in many universities in Beijing to study that they always put Alibaba and our competitors together. Every time I was invited, sitting at the back of the classroom, listen to the people talking about my company. For 6 years, every time they say Alibaba will die, that competitor will win. And 6 years later, all the competitors die, we're still surviving. The reason we do that, not because we're expert of internet, not because we are smarter. We are not smart people. But we are very optimistic. We believe in the future. We believe in internet. And we believe that if we do not succeed, somebody will. And we know that we have to be humble. We have to serve our customers. The investors may not like us. If the customers like us, we have the futures. Right. Most of the companies die not because they don't have money, because they have too much money. And we didn't have a plan. I understand a lot of venture capitalists say, Jack, what is your business plan? I say, I don't have a business plan. So how can I give you money if you don't have a business plan? And my answer is, how can you giving you business plan of internet e-commerce in 1999? The only thing is how can using internet to support the customers and understand the customers, make the customers successful. We know only our customers succeed, we will be successful. So this is how we did it. And I really have been very thankful for America. 1995, I went to Seattle, discovered the internet. And year 2001, 2002, when the internet almost bubble bursted, I happened to be in Seattle again. In my home, in my friend's home, I watched a wonderful movie called Forrest Gump. I like the sentence. It reminds every time when I have a problem, I tell myself, this is what Forrest Gump said. He said, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get. And I found that Forrest Gump made a fortune by catching shrimps, not catching whales. So helping small business will make me like a Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump, just to keep on running. Be simple. Serve the people. That was what I learned. And also, I think the very important is after so many years, I learned. I keep on telling myself, yesterday I told you, and today I want to tell you again. As an entrepreneur, believe every day is difficult. Today is very difficult. tomorrow is much more difficult. But believing the day after tomorrow, that day is very beautiful. But most people die tomorrow evening. If you don't work hard, you don't see the sunshine. And people say, how could you inspire people when days are so bad? We hire people who are very self-motivated. Don't hire people who are very sort of complaining. As a leader, you should never complain. If you complain, nobody will follow you. Nobody loves to follow a leader who complains a lot. And we have to be optimistic. I'm lucky enough to meet so many great business leaders in the world. I find all of them, they are very optimistic. I found all of them never complain, and I found all of them want to making sure that their team are better. 18 years later, now from 18 founders, now we got more than 50,000 people. And from my apartment, we got a lot of campers today, and we have achieved over 550 billion US dollars GMV sales last year. And we also have more than 500 million users using our services in China alone. And every day, more than 200 million people shopping through mobile phone on our site. And one thing you believe or not, I just don't understand. There are about more than 60 million people browser through mobile phone every night without buying anything. And we also created more than 33 million jobs. This is what we feel for China. This is what we feel most proud of. Our goal is that we're bigger, even crazier. Yesterday I told you, by year 2036, we try to build an economy that be the world's 5th largest economy. For our GMV last year, we are ranking number 21 or 22 in the world. In the next 20 years, we want to be the 5th. In the 5th largest economy, we want to support 2 billion consumers. We want to create 100 million jobs for the world. We want to support 10 million business, be profitable on our platform. This is what we want to do. And by the way, there are a lot of stories about us, a lot of books telling about us. I never write a book by myself because I think when I start to write my own autobiography, that means I'm getting old. The book I want to write about one day is about Alibaba 1001 Mistakes. We made so many mistakes, and the mistakes that we learn are the best assets we have. We made all kinds of mistakes on the financing, on the HR, on the marketing, and on the competition. We have a lot. I tell you one story was very interesting. It's every startup at the beginning when you want to be global, you have the same thing. When we started Alibaba B2B, we are helping small business to selling things across the board. So we think, which country has the best technology on the internet? We say USA. And if we are helping international trade, you need English. Which country has a very good English? USA. And which country has most of the import-export business? USA. So we say, that means we should put Alibaba headquarters, or at least a big office in America. So we decided to build up a huge office in San Francisco. When we arrived in San Francisco, we found something wrong, because it is so difficult to hire people who know trade in the Silicon Valley, San Francisco. So we started hire people from Miami, from New York, all arriving into San Francisco. After 1 month or 2 months, we realized something wrong when we have like 30 people in our Silicon Valley office. Because those people, they know trade, but they don't know anything about the internet. Those people who know about the internet, they do not know anything about the trade. And the other thing frustrated us is that it was a beautiful story at that time, because they say China in the daytime, USA in the evening. USA in the daytime, China in the evening. So people work here in the daytime, send email there, so next day they can continue to work. It's a beautiful story, but did not work out. I later we find out that those people who know trade do not necessarily have to know English, or at least their English terrible. That's fine. People understand what you're talking about. We do not need English experts to do import-export. So we know something wrong, we say, we have to shut down the office. And I told the team, the 30 people, say we're going to have shut down. You want to get cash or you want to get Alibaba share? If you want to get a cash, $3,000, like $2,000 or $3,000 each person. If you want to get a share, 1 cent, 2 cents per share. You get the options. Everybody say, give me cash, no shares. They all went home happily with $3,000. So we have a lot of mistakes we made, and a lot of colleagues also made mistakes. We survived. I would say we survived. We're not successful. We will never say, Alibaba will never say we are a successful company, because we will not say success until we survive 102 years. We just finished 18 years. There are another 84 years to go. The next 84 years, anything could happen, so we will never say we're succeeding. Because every time, I think most people here, have the same feeling. When you get a feeling of being successful, problem comes, right? So I share some of the tips why we survived. First, we have to believe in the future. We have to love the jobs we do. We have to love our customers. So if you don't have the vision for the future, it's difficult for a team to have a teamwork. Do not hire people for you to work. Hire people to work for the vision you agree on together. Especially young people, my advice, if you're 20 years old, please join a good company, find a good boss to learn how to do business. If you're 30 years old, if you want to do something yourself, try to do something yourself. When you are 40 years old, please do something that you are strong at and good at. When you're 50 years old, please spend time for the young people, giving chance for young people while you're still strong. When you're 60 years old, better spend time with your grandchildren on the beaches. This is generally speaking, and this is something that everything you do, you have to love it. If you do not like the things you're doing, you are your life is in trouble. All right. Second is that try to build a good team. What does a good team mean? The good team does not mean you hire excellent people from Harvard or from a multinational Fortune 500 countries or companies. I remember when we raised the first $5 million, we think, now we have money from $50,000 to $5 million. So we should hire great people. We hired close to 10 excellent vice presidents for many multinational companies. One of the guys who are the marketing expert vice president of a big company, he gave me a business plan, a marketing plan, $12 million. And I say, hey, we only have $5 million. How could you give me a business plan for next year's budget to marketing $12 million? He said, Jack, I never make any plan below $20 million. Hire the right people, not necessarily the best people. The best people is always you train them. There's no best people in the market. The best people for you is always you train yourself. So, as I say, if you hire the people who are very good, not suitable to you, it's just like you are putting a Boeing 747 engine into a poor tractors. Neither of them are happy. The engine is not happy, the poor tractor is not happy. So find the right people. And the other thing I want to say is that making sure that you focus on the product and services. Your vision decides what kind of people are joining you. but what kind of people joining you would design the product and services. As the chairman, as the CEO, as the founder of the company, you have to be sure your customers are happy with the product and service. I know nothing about a computer. I hate high technology because people like me, when we hear about high technology, we are scared. But when we want to get the government support, we tell government we are high technology. But when we tell the consumers, users say, this is so simple. So for the first 2 years, I was the product tester of Alibaba website because I know 80% of the people in the world, on the business world, like me, we just want to have a dumb click, get what I want. So many of the times when the engineers design some wonderful softwares, they feel excited, and I would test it. If I cannot use it, just to throw it into the rubbish. If I can use it, I believe 80% of people can use it. So this is what I think is important. The fourth important for a startup, remember, always customer number one, employee number two, shareholder number three. If you put it's the customer pay you the money. It's the employees that their creation, their innovation make the customer happy. I believe if the customer happy, employees are happy, the shareholders will be happy. I don't like Wall Street put the shareholder number one. When shareholder put number one, people start to cheat. Number 5, as a startup, please stay focused. I find a lot of startups, they have so many dreams, they change dreams every day. If there are 9 rabbits on the ground, if you want to catch one rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself, right? Remember that. 9 rabbits, you have to stick to one rabbit until that rabbit, you got it. Don't change the rabbit all the time, you will get nothing. So embrace the change and change yourselves. Well, the next thing I want to share with you, I want to tell you about the world has changed. The world is changing very, very fast. Don't complain about the change because you complain, it changes. You don't complain, it changes. And when I was young, I don't like a Bill Gates. I don't like a Microsoft. I don't like Oracle because I think these guys taking all of my jobs, taking all of my opportunities. When you are tiny, young, you want to compare yourself to Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, you will be very disappointed. It's better for you to compare to your neighbors. How can you learn from them? Why barber? Yeah, I went to Detroit. Past 2 days, I found a lot of barber shops here. I don't know why. When you have opened a barber shop, you have to check why Mr. Wong's shop better than Tom's. There must be things inside. You have to learn. Where is the opportunity? Opportunity always exists in the place where people complain. If you can solve the complaining problems, that is the best opportunity. The world has changed. I say we are in a very, very critical period of technology revolution. Every technology revolution, the first 50 years are critical. The first technology revolution, the first 50 years are very important. About the first 50 years, the first 20 years are the technology. Next 30 years about application of the technology. So in the first technology revolution, if you are the first company using the steam machines, you'll be successful. The second technology revolution, if you're the company using electricity sooner, faster, and quicker, then you will be successful. This technology revolution, if you are the company, embrace the change, see the future, change yourself, you might have a better chance. So, why I say the world is dangerous? I say the first technology caused World War I. Second technology revolution caused World War II. Now we are entering the third technology revolution. It's going to be tough if we do not fight against the same enemy, poverty, disease, environment. The human being is going to be big trouble. So we have to be sure, we have to understand the future. And the other thing is that I want to say, people don't like globalization. I am a strong believer of globalization. I'm a strong believer of free trade. The past 20 years, globalization was designed for big companies. In 200 years ago, globalization was controlled by few emperors and kings. In the past 20 years, globalization was controlled and manipulated by 60,000 big companies. Young people had no chance. Small business had no chance. Women had no chance. Developing countries had no chance. So, but even that, past 20 years, the world economy grew very fast because of globalization. What if we can support 6 million, 16 million small business? They can go global. They can buy and sell. That thing will change very, very fast. So I think when the things is changing so fast, everybody here, all the young people have to think about this. What does this change mean to me, to my kids? What should I change myself to meet the changes? What kind of things I should do about it? So I recommend to many government officers, and I also would love to share this idea with many entrepreneurs here. Remember, pay special attention to next 30 years. In the past 20 years, we have a Google, we have Amazon, we have a Facebook, we have Alibaba, we have all the Uber, all the companies. But the next 30 years are not those pure internet companies will win. Next 30 years are those companies who can make use of the internet. Using internet well, those companies will win. So please pay special attention to the next 30 years. Please pay special attention to those people who are below 30 years old. Today, there are about 1.7 billion people in the world using internet. And most of those people are below 30 years. Those people who are below 30 years old, they are the internet generation. They are the generation going to change the future. Please pay attention, special attention to those companies who have less than 30 employees, because small companies will be the future, and small companies will be the companies of 21st century. I'm a strong believer of that, because in the past 100 years, industry period, everything is about amount, size, standardizations. Next 30 years, the world is shifting from standardization to personalizations. So big companies is going to face huge challenges. Small guys, we have problems, but these big guys, they have a big problems than we have. And if you want to be a successful people, an entrepreneur, remember, you need IQ, EQ, and LQ. What is LQ? LQ is Q of love. If you want to be successful, you should have EQ. Because when you have EQ, you know how to deal with people. But if you do not want to fail, you should have the IQ. IQ may not be you, your team. I'm not a guy that have high IQ, but my team do have very high IQ. When we have a lot of high IQ guys, they need people like me with good EQ things. And LQ, the Q of love, is about care for others. When you care for others, last century, the IT enable yourself. This century, the DT, the data technology, is to enable the others. So when you pay special attention to next 30 years, people who are below 30 years old, company below 30 people, please also pay special attention to women. Women care for the other people much more than men. Men care for themselves more than women. One of the secret sauce for Alibaba is that we have more than 48% of the people in the company, they are women. We have more than 33% of the senior management are women. women is going to be very powerful in 21st century, because last century, people compare about the muscle. This century, people compare about wisdom, about the user-friendliness. So I'm very happy these days I see a lot of women entrepreneurs here, especially on the internet. People really don't care you're a man or woman. They care whether you serve people better or not, whether you care people better or not. So pay special attention, hire as many women as possible. This is what we did in our company, and this is the secret sauce I want to share with you. The other thing I want to say, please rediscover China. Before I talk about China, I want to show you a short video, just a few seconds, to see how China changed in past 30 years. This is Shanghai today, 1990. Less than 30 years ago, Shanghai was nothing, just a piece of, a farmland. But within 30 years, China made city like Shanghai like this. We have a lot of cities like that developing the past 30 years, grow so tremendously. When we came here, people prepared some videos. I asked a lot of Americans, what do you think about China? Think, panda, bicycles, Great Walls, Tai Chi. I say, know these things. China has changed. We, from nobody, today become the second largest economy of the world. Thanks to the globalization, thanks to America, thanks to Europe, thanks to the people's hard working and partnership. 1972, when Nixon and Mao Zedong signed an agreement, opened the chapter of the political partnership between China and the USA, China did grow very fast. People like me, I was born in Hangzhou, the city where Nixon visited in 1972. I was like 8 years old. Because of that, Hangzhou became an open city. Because of that, we have a lot of American tourists that come to Hangzhou. I start to learn English, giving free tour to those American visitors. And I learned to think different, because everything I learned from the books are so different from the things I heard from the American visitors. I know there's a world that is totally different than the other side of the world. In the past 30 years, China embraced the change. In the past 30 years, China take the decision to open and to reform. In the past 30 years, China opened globalization, which today, I think globalization was the name created by Americans. But today, the Americans don't like the globalization. We start to like it. And China also embrace the internet. If America was a country on wheels, China today is a country on the internet or on the mobile phones. And China started to learn from America in the past 30 years. We learn from America, we learn from Europe, we learn from America with great appreciation. People like me, I never got a one-day train in America, but I believe I know much about American than most of the Chinese, maybe more than some of the Americans. I respect the culture. We learn today in China, in Beijing, Shanghai, or Guangzhou, big cities, when you pick up 100 young people, you will find 80 of them can speak at least 50 English words. If you go to Washington, New York, San Francisco, if you pick up 100 young people in America, how many of them can speak more than 10 Chinese words, except from 谢谢? When you learn, when you embrace the change, you have the chance. People start to complain about globalization. I think globalization, nobody can stop it. It will continue to do. The only thing is that how you can change yourself to embrace it. And our China manufacturer is going good. It's doing pretty good in the past 30 years because the Chinese manufacturer study American consumers. They try to making sure the American, European, the global consumers love their products. China has changed. But I think America is a great country. American dreams, the Alibaba dream was get from the American dreams. 1985. I learned so much. I read so many books. I read the GE way. I understand the eBay. I understand the IBM. All the things we tried to learn. And next to 30 years, China is going to be much faster growth. Past the 30 years, American economy was the engine of the global economy. I believe the next 30 years, America still will be the leading engine of the global economy. But China is going to be another big engine for the global economy. China is shifting from exporting to importing. We have 1.4 billion people. We have more than 300 million middle class. You know how many people Chinese people traveling around the world every year? Last year, nearly 150 million Chinese people traveling outside China. 150 million people. This is a moving nation around the world. And in next 10, 15 years, China is going to have 500 to 600 million middle class. The demanding for high quality products, high service products is huge. And I would say that think about what does that mean? Well, before how many cities in America has more than 1 million population? You know any idea? 10. How many cities in China has more than 1 million population? 102. 1 million population in China is like a village, but in America it's a big city. My city has only 8.6 million people. It's ranking nothing in China. But the demanding population, middle class, means so much. Imagine the Chinese government announced that in next 5 years, they are going to import $8 trillion US. What does $8 trillion US mean? I think China will import much more than 8 trillion, at least 10 trillion US in the next 5 years. You know how many pigs China eat every year? 600 million pigs a year. Luckily, human beings are eating pigs, not a pig eating human beings. 600 million pigs. How many chickens we eat? 7 billion chickens a year. So the numbers are scary. But what does that mean? That means past 30 years, the American population, middle class, they changed the whole world economy. Next 30 years, China, the growing market, they are going to fundamentally change the landscape of the economy. China is going to buy a lot of things because if we do not start to buy good products, China is going to be a much more polluted country. We have terrible air, we have terrible soil, we have terrible water. If we do not learn to buy things, we are going to be in big trouble. So $8 trillion means that the number of last year's American exportation to China takes about 70 years to build, to manufacture. So this is what we see. China is going to be the world's largest consumption places. and that engine is going to drive the world economy. But the other thing is, what does that mean to SME? I think this is a good opportunity for small business. In the past years, big companies of America are already all over China, all over the world. So in China, you see almost all the big American companies there. But we need more small business. The next amount of importing to China, export to China, this opportunity belongs to small business. I'm encouraging all the government should set special free trade zones for small business, because we have, every country said small business is important. Every country knows small companies are the driver of employment. Everybody knows small business is so good, but not every government really set the rules. All the free trade zones are designed for big companies. Big companies can go import, export, receive money quickly. Small business never got this chance. Farmers never got this chance. So next 20 years, let's build up a system specifically setting for small business. And this is why I'm flying all around the world. Last year, 870 hours, meeting more than 40 government senior leaders. And this year, I'm going to fly more than 1,000 hours. Continue to evangelize, because if we believe it, we have to make it happen. So, please view China as an opportunity. I'm so happy about President Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump, the wonderful dialogue they had. Because the two markets, if they connected, 30 years ago, American did help China a lot. Next 30 years, China market need a lot of American small products, a lot of products, and made in America. The products, the quality, the service. You guys here, I visited the booth. Beautiful products. We Chinese consumers are crazy about that. We need that. So, how can you do business with China? First, doing business is never easy. Don't tell me today doing business is more difficult. Never be easy. But today, you should, in the past 20 years, doing business for import-export, you go to the trade shows. Now, you have to move in online. As I said, China has become a country on the internet, on the mobile phones. And our sales last year is 11% of the total China retail online and offline combined together. And I tell you that November 11, that is the singlest day we created for the world, for the consumers. Last year, one day alone, we sold $17.8 billion US. And a few days ago, June 18th, we sold 2 million lipsticks with less than 10 minutes. So everything goes on so quick and fast. And 2 days ago, we sold 200 tons of milk powder within less than 5 minutes. So people start shopping online. As I said, 200 million people start to shopping through mobile phone every day. And we are delivering, for our company alone, we are helping delivering over 60 million packages per day, which we foresee that in 10 years, the world in China, the logistics company will deliver at least 1 billion packages per day. So this is how the world changed. Doing business, if you're using the traditional way, I don't think it will work. If you're using the internet, there's a better way. Take for example, Indian government said, Jack, we want to make 50% or 60% of the Indian people have a bank account. My suggestion is that if you're using the traditional banking system, it won't work. So we give our technology mobile payment. Less than 2 years, we have 250 million Indian people using mobile payment today, that in Asia. So think about internet is the opportunity for small business. Do not think about the internet as just e-commerce. Think about internet as e-business. It's better, do not only think about a sell. You should find you design, or let some people in France design, let people in China manufacture it, let some people in the Africa to get the raw materials. So small business, remember, past 20 years, only multinational companies are able to have this kind of international business ecosystem. Today, with the internet, we are able to do this. And it's the opportunity, everything big companies can do in the past 20 years. Today, small business can do it. In the past 20 years, big companies, they have all the money to do the IT, they have all the money, have a lot of office around the world. Today, small business, using internet, e-business, you can do things the same in a very cost-effective way. Last I want to share with you is global buy, global sell is going to be happen in next 10 years. So think about anybody in America, if you want to buy things online, buy a salmon in Norway, you want to buy some coconuts in Thailand, within 72 hours, you will receive it. Our goal is making sure that in next 10 years, anywhere, anybody in the world, if you place an order online, within 72 hours, you will receive it. And we were making sure the government will try to make policies for small business to import and export freely and easily. People may not believe it. I tell you, 3 years ago, the Prime Minister of Canada, he came to our office and said, "Hey, Alibaba, can you help us selling some Canadian seafood?" I said, "What seafood?" Some people say, "Lobster." So we tried to sell lobster on November 11th that year. For a one day, was sold 97,000 live lobsters within 72 hours from Canada to China families. And almost 3 weeks, there is no lobster in Canada market. The first time we helped American farmers selling the Washington State cherries was funny, because the USA ambassador to China came to us and said, "Can you help us to sell the cherries?" We said, "Yeah." So we placed the order online, and the cherries still on the trees. When we got the cherries, when we got the orders, people started to pick up the cherries and deliver. Within 72 hours, cherries were picked, sent to China, distribute into 80,000 families. And funny thing is that we got a lot of complaints next few days. The complaint was such great cherries, such great price. Why we cannot buy it? So they want to buy more. So I think the demand is huge when you got 1.4 billion people. You probably cannot. You only have 300 million people. 1.4, oh my God, that's a lot of people. And doing business is never easy. Try to learn. It's not that difficult to do e-commerce. If Jack Ma can do e-commerce, you definitely can do it. I'm for sure. A good thing is that today we are using mobile phones. We are not using computer. Computer is very complicated. Mobile phone buy and sell is easier. We hope one day with a mobile phone, if you plant potatoes, you can sell potatoes to anywhere in the world. With mobile phones, if you have a car, you can book Uber anywhere. So this is what we envision. In next 20 years, China, internet, e-commerce, e-business partner will be everywhere. And people are always scared. Will you be cheated? Or is there anything that scare me? Small business, you have nothing to lose. Don't worry about it. The only thing you worry about is lose the opportunity. If you're losing China, if you're losing developing country in Asia, if you're losing the internet e-commerce, you will lose the hope, lose the future. Marco Polo, 1,000 years ago, he came to China. It took him 8 years to walk from Europe to China, and from China to Europe, another 8 years. Today, 8 seconds, you can go to China 100 million times because internet. At that time, Marco Polo came to China. There are a lot of terrible things happen on the way. Today, there's nothing that has happened. So please catch up this opportunity. The thing I want to tell you here is that don't miss this chance. This chance is going to be changed. And I think most of the small business will be globalized. If you are not a globalized business, small business, you will out of business. I'm not scaring you guys because you have to think out of the box. You have to do business. Because you're small, you are unique. Because you're small, it's difficult for you to compete locally. Because if you use the internet, you can compete globally. So don't miss opportunity, catch the opportunity. What Alibaba want to do is we want to build up the platform. We want to enable you with finding consumers, enable you finding the business partners, enable you to solve the money receiving problems, the payment problems, and logistic problems, and computing capability problems. But don't say, oh, does that mean I have to using Alibaba? No, not necessarily. Using any internet services, any e-commerce company that can help you to sell your things outside. Do not think, should I rely on Alibaba? Rely on any e-commerce internet companies that you think it is helpful to you. So, but we commit that we will do a bad job. Finally, let's talk to our young people. The artificial intelligence is coming. And robots is going to replace a lot of jobs. But I'm a belief that 30 years later, this new technology is going to create more jobs than today. Every technology revolution comes, they kill jobs. And then 30 years later, those people who understand technology, who change themselves, they start to make more jobs. So pay attention to the kids' education. Machine is going to be smarter, but human beings are always wiser. So try to teach your kids to be more creative, to be more innovative, because only those people who are creative, innovative, then they can survive. And let our kids spending more time on doing e-commerce, because doing e-commerce is about respect the other culture. Doing e-commerce is about a communication. Spending more time on doing business online rather than only on chat box and on emails. By the way, I have one thing I noticed. It is so difficult to convincing successful people. One of the reasons why Alibaba succeed, because 10 years ago, we focus on those young people who are 18 years old, 20 years old, because they are not successful. If we help them, spending time with them for 10 years, they will be successful. But those people who are very successful, they will give you 100 reasons why we should not take this of new innovations. So spending time on the future and making sure that generation, I noticed that many American senior people, they spend a lot of time on sending, receive emails. Young people using the WeChat and chat on the mobile phones. This is the generation change. So the generation change is going to be scary. Let's make it up. And also, please use the internet. Please do business with China. Please learn and find the people who are smarter than you are. Thank you very, very much.
Okay, Jack. I know I'm not Charlie Rose, but I want to ask you a couple quick questions, if that's okay. You're not done yet. You've got thousands of business owners in this audience, thousands of entrepreneurs. What do you want them to take away from this experience?
Yeah, don't miss the opportunity. I think the next 30 years is the opportunity for people like us. The big companies, they have to looking for a way to survive. But we have to look a way to expand our business, to finding more partners. And I think China is the best opportunity. Internet is the best opportunity. Don't miss it. This is what I want to say. Just try to learn. Just like when I open the internet, my friend in Seattle say, Jack, just to type in the word, it's not a bomb. So go do business.
And I'm dying to know what's next for Jack Ma.
I will go back to teach.
At Harvard? They will be begging, I'm sure.
I think that I will go back to teach in the entrepreneur schools, share with them the 1,001 mistakes, and I also would love to spend more time on the things I like, the environment protection, all these things. Because I don't think next 5 years I'll be strong, or 10 years I'll be strong enough to operate, to govern such a big economy. We should leave more opportunities for young people. And I think the world belongs to the young people. The world belongs to those people below 30 years old, the company who are below 30 employees. So I want to do the things that I'm good at, that is being a teacher.
Well, we're glad that you didn't make it into the police department or KFC. And we thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and giving us an opportunity to learn about how to do business in China. Thank you so much, Jack Ma, for this event.
Thank you very much. Thank you.